welcome. In this video we will be continuing prepared statements. Since the last video I've made a couple of changes. I've added two constants to handle the loop delays and the TCP delay. And then I renamed our dispatch dictionary. In the last video we ended with handle login. We will continue with handle create account. It's pretty much the same, except we fetch the display name and we sanitize the values. Even though prepared statements doesn't allow for SQL injection, we still want to sanitize their email address, make sure it's proper, their display name match the criteria of what you want to meet the criteria of the password. We create the query result class instance, set up the parameters for checking the email and display name, which we'll use here with check if player, which here's your email or display name. So we'll do a query on both and return if either are true. Create the task, add the function, add the parameters, and our two lambdas. Get the connection, do the task, return the DB connection back to the pool, and set this reference to null. Check for errors. If no errors, we check to see if we get any results back. And we check to see if we get an email. If it matches the email or a display name, send an error back to the client if either exist. If all is okay, we continue. We create a Argon2 hasher instance. Use the hasher salt function to create a salt. Then we hash the password with the salt. Then we create the insert parameters. We set the status to online because we're also going to just allow them to connect immediately to the game server, although in the future we may want to verify their account first. We'll do that some other time. Send an email, display name, password hash, salt, and this is the game server ID, which we aren't using currently. Create our task with the insert player command. Parameters, our two lambdas, get the connection, rinse and repeat. If we succeed, we send the client a created code and the last insertion ID. Just like we did with the handle login. That's it for the authentication server portion. We'll now load the gateway. Running it on a single instance of Godot because Ubuntu 24 seems to have an issue with the display driver, and it causes the editor to crash on the first instance of Godot when running both at the same time. So we'll just run this separately, and I'll do the authentication server. We'll run it via command line. First, let's just test our create account. I created a display name function that just generates a random display name to be used in the future if you wish. I'm not going to bother, but I added the code. It'll be in the repository. I just set it to the known email display name and password till we'll be testing the login. So we just connect to the server. We send it a function to create an account. The authentication server will read that code. We'll put the email, display name, password. Then we'll run the connection to see what the reply is. It waits, times out, waits for some bytes, reads the first 2 bytes, which will be the reply code. Check to see if that reply code exists in our reply code function lookup here. And we only use 3 different types. If it's an OK, this is a dummy function. OKs are just used for keeping the connection alive. Otherwise, if we have an error of any kind, we just send that right to the client and we end the connection. At that point, if we do created, we run the same function as the login success, because as we stated before, that's what we're going to do. Okay, so login success or created. And it just loops through and checks to see if we get the data back. When we get the data back, it'll run one of those functions. So we'll say, we'll do, since we're creating an account, we'll go to the login success, because both do the same thing. Okay. Now this here looks for a TLS peer, and we don't have a TLS peer yet because we haven't created one. So on these functions, we just kind of made a dummy one here. Okay, so this will work. This function works on both our test code and on our TCP TLS listener. Okay, so this is actually null when we're doing the test functions, which is okay because I've accounted for that. We just pass the TCP peer, TLS peer to the functions. Here, so this is null. It's just going to return if that instance is null here. So we'll get the display name and the success. We'll continue on the game server functionality on the next run. I just want to run this test and show you some things. Okay, so let's go ahead and run the authentication server, which I just made a script, which will be in the repository under the main folder. This is running that authentication server. And I wanted to show you something real quick. Well, not real quick, because it's actually infinitely. Okay, so here we do the test account. I've got this commented out for the test account. I also created an additional test thread for login, and this is under the thread, and there's a reason for this. If we run this first, okay, we're going to get TLS peer code, and then it's just going to keep looping through and checking. All right, player login success. Okay, now you notice our screen is fine. We can close it. Everything's great. Now, if we run test login without a thread, We get a code 1 because the player username exists. If you notice, this is running, okay? But look at our screen. You can't even close it. And the reason why that is, as I explained before, is we are using OS delay. And that's what OS delay will do. And because this function ends, but then calls itself again, and we do have a delay in here, you don't see it here, but the delay is actually here, okay? This is what's causing the issue. And like I said, this is fine for threads, but not for the main thread. So I just want to make that distinction. Okay, now let's just go through the gateway code real quick as far as the listener portion. And then on the next episode or next video, we will do the game server logic and then a client to connect. We'll get all that finished up. Okay. All right, so check config, start server. Check the configurations. Create the server instance. This is used on starting and stopping. So it's just not used as initial starting. It also has functionality into it to do a restart. So we can call server start and it'll actually restart the server. Okay. Then we loop through in the process. I don't know why I don't just click this on the side. It's much quicker. So if stop, it'll return. If not, it'll check the server is running. If not, we'll try starting the server again. If it's running, check incoming. Check to see if we got a connection coming in. It's a TCP connection. If we have a successful connection and we have enough in the pool, it'll create a thread and start this TCP thread. And this is where we're okay with our delays. Okay. We now create a TLS peer from the TCP peer. And you just do accept stream on the server side and pass it the TCP peer and the TLS server options, which we will cover in a later date because I have not done SSL certificate yet, and we'll do that when we do the client because we have to create all that then. Check to make sure TLS didn't error. Then we read the available bytes. And we do our callable. And this time we're looking for the function code lookup. And we'll get the function from the function code lookup based on the function code it received from the stream. Check if it's valid, and then run those code, which is here and here. We only have two going this time. We'll do change password, connect player. Connect player and disconnect player actually are not done on this side of things. It's actually done on the back end server, which is a connection between the gateway and the game server through the local or through VPN only. It's not from the front, and that way we send the game server the proper connection information. And that pretty much does it for this video. Again, next video will cover the TLS connection between game server and the gateway and the player client and the gateway, and we'll get all that working and we'll get a connection established for the player. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.